Hi, my name's John, and I want to describe my favorite instructional design moment. My favorite instructional design moment was revolving around designing an online undergraduate orientation, which presents its own set of challenges that are kind of unique to the specific audience and the specific expectations that students have coming into a new college. So, what I really enjoyed doing was meeting with our undergraduate professional staff and discussing with them how students had these expectations that they were not fulfilling when they came into the original presentation. So originally, students would come in for about a 6-hour long presentation, which immediately right off the bat is a big turnoff for students. Additionally, it was kind of an odd way to introduce all the programs, and the content was not always relevant to what students would be experiencing later on. So identifying those key features was important for us to be able to build an online environment that's going to be much more suited towards the students. So when we're looking at the online environment, a couple key points that we wanted to make sure that we achieved was that it was an asynchronous, anytime, anywhere orientation, meaning students could go from start to finish without any help, but if they wanted help, they could. Another key point was having accountability, so making sure that students are actually going through and hitting our benchmarks, hitting our checking points, and moving and getting the feedback to be successful in each one. And the last point that we wanted to make sure that we hit on was relevance, meaning that if students want to learn specifically about a specific program, we provide the resources and the ability for them to do that. When we got into the development phase, when we were starting to pick out the tools that we wanted to use, we looked at Blackboard and using Blackboard's organizations to kind of structure the orientation in a logical format that could be traced from start to finish. And I got to be a huge factor in actually designing the Blackboard side and making sure that it was accessible and it was mobily available. Additionally, we use Articulate Storyline to build in problem-based learning activities inside each lesson. So having both of those factors, the accessibility and the problem-based learning, kind of working together and creating this environment was hugely successful for the students. Which brings me to the implementation. So when we're bringing in students, we did a wave approach. This was suggested by the undergraduate programs office, but it's actually supported by instructional design, where you bring in smaller groups of students to focus down on them and kind of create this better ratio of instructor to student audience. And by doing that, we created a personalization of learning opportunity where we were able to meet with students individually who were challenging with the subject matter and also provide advising from that moment that they needed help. And lastly, we evaluated the orientation, and we did this through a final summative evaluation. And what we found was that students appreciated the openness, ease of use, and length, but they wanted more out of the media. So in future iterations, our goal is going to be continually adding new media. So things like the green screen, like what I'm doing right now, for the future would be a huge goal for us. And that's really it. But I want to kind of focus on this moment just because I was involved throughout the entire thing. It was a very collaborative experience where I got to meet with pretty much everyone throughout the college, including international programs, undergraduate programs, and the dean's office to kind of figure out what's the best way to present this. So bringing all those resources and all those different voices into one product was one of my favorite experiences, and it's one I look forward to kind of achieving again in the future. Anyways, that's my favorite moment in the instructional design world, and I hope you got something from this. Thank you.